Hello and welcome to the Bible with Briscoe. I am your host, Shenandoah Briscoe, and today we are going to be covering Leviticus 17 through 18 and Matthew 27 through 50. Father, I just ask for clarity of voice and speech recognition so that the reading of your word will be a blessing to you and to all of those who are tuning in today. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. And they all said, amen. Eating blood forbidden. Leviticus 17. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to Aaron and his sons, and to all the Israelites, and say to them, This is what the Lord has commanded. Any Israelite who sacrifices an ox, a lamb, or a goat in the camp or outside of it, instead of bringing it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to present it as an offering to the Lord in front of the tabernacle of the Lord, that person shall be considered guilty of bloodshed. They have shed blood and must be cut off from their people. This is so the Israelites will bring to the Lord the sacrifices they are now making in the open fields. They must bring them to the priest, that is, to the Lord, at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and sacrifice them as fellowship offerings. The priest is to splash the blood against the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and burn the fat as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. They must no longer offer any of their sacrifices to the goat idols, to whom they prostitute themselves. This is to be a lasting ordinance for them and for the generations to come. Say to them, any Israelite or any foreigner residing among them who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice and does not bring it to the entrance to the tent of meeting to sacrifice it to the Lord must be cut off from the people of Israel. I will set my face against any Israelite or any foreigner residing among them who eats blood, and I will cut them off from the people. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for the one's life. Therefore, I say to the Israelites, none of you may eat blood, nor may any foreigner residing among you eat blood. Any Israelite or foreigner residing among you who hurts any animal or bird that may be eaten must drain out the blood and cover it with earth, because the life of any creature is the blood. That is why I have said to the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any creature, because the life of every creature is its blood. Anyone who eats it must be cut off. Anyone, whether native-born or foreigner, who eats anything found dead or torn by wild animals must wash their clothes and bathe with water, and they will be ceremonially unclean till evening. Then they will be clean. But if they do not wash their clothes and bathe themselves, they will be held responsible. Unlawful sexual relations. Leviticus 18. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You must do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices. You must obey my laws and be careful to follow my decrees. I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and laws, for the person who obeys them will live by them. I am the Lord. No one is to approach any close relative to have sexual relations. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. Do not have relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your father's wife. That would dishonor your father. Do not have sexual relations with your sister, either your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born in the same home or elsewhere. Do not have sexual relations with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter. That would dishonor you. Do not have sexual relations with the daughter of your father's wife, born to your father. She is your sister. Do not have sexual relations with your father's sister. She is your father's close relative. Do not have sexual relations with your mother's sister, because she is your mother's close relative. Do not dishonor your father's brother by approaching his wife to have sexual relations. She is your aunt. And do not have sexual relations with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. Do not have relations with her. And do not have sexual relations with your brother's wife. That would dishonor your brother. Do not have sexual relations with both a woman and her daughter, and do not have sexual relations with either her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. They are her close relatives. This is wicked. Do not take your wife's sister as a rival wife and have sexual relations with her while your wife is living. Do not approach a woman to have sexual relations during uncleanliness and her monthly period. Do not have sexual relations with your neighbor's wife and defile yourself with her. And do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable. Do not have sexual relations with an animal and defile yourself with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. That is perversion. Do not defile yourself in any of these ways, because this is how the nation that I am going to drive out before you became defiled. Even the land was defiled. Even the land was defiled. So I punished it for the sin, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you must keep my decrees and my laws. The native born and the foreigners residing among you must not do any of these detestable things. For all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became defiled. And if you defile the land, it will vomit you out as it vomited out the nations that were before you. Everyone who does any of these detestable things, such person must be cut off from their people. Keep my requirements and do not follow any of the detestable customs that were practiced before you came, and do not defile yourselves with them. I am the Lord your God. And that concludes Leviticus. Levications? I've been calling it Leviticus. It is Leviticus. Okay. Leviticus 17 through 18. So now we're going to move on to Matthew. Pick up with Matthew 27 through 50. Pick up where we left off yesterday. Now let's see. Matthew. The soldiers mock Jesus. Matthew 27:27. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him. What happened? Oh, I didn't stop anything, did I? Okay. Whoops. What happened? It went away. Sorry. They put a crown of thorns in okay, they put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. Hail, King of the Jews, they said. They spit on him, and they took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. The crucifixion of Jesus, Matthew 27:32. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall. But after tasting it, he refused to drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him. This is Jesus, King of the Jews. 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross and..." Sorry. Oh, I went the wrong direction. No wonder. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now, and if he wants him, for he said, "I am the Son of God." In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insult on him. The death of Jesus. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all of the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. And that concludes Matthew 27 through 50. And that concludes the Bible with Briscoe for the day. And so therefore, tomorrow we will be covering Leviticus 19 through 20 and Matthew 27:51 through 66. Okay, Matthew must be a long, or Matthew 27 must be a long one. Okay, Father, thank you. I thank you so much for the blessing of giving us your word to read so that we might honor you. And I'm hopeful that this has honored the people who have tuned in today. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. And they all said, amen. Thank you for coming today, and please come back tomorrow. I'll be here, and I hope that you are too. God bless you.